President Biden will address the UN General Assembly later today, and Congress is up against a deadline at the end of the month to avoid a partial federal government shutdown. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy will address the UN General Assembly today. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports Russia's war in Ukraine will be high on the agenda.
Biden administration officials say Russia's war strikes at the heart of the UN Charter, and President Biden will reinforce that in his speech to the General Assembly. For his part, President Zelenskyy is trying to convince countries that have been on the fence to back his ideas on how the war should end, that is, with Ukraine's sovereignty intact. The conflict has affected countries around the world, especially those that rely on Ukrainian grain exports. Russia recently pulled out of a deal that allowed Ukraine to ship food via the Black Sea. The UN Secretary General is still trying to revive that. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, New York.
The Indian government has rejected allegations it was involved in the killing of a Sikh separatist leader in Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made the claim in Parliament yesterday. Sushmita Pathak reports ties between both countries are at a historic low.
The two countries are sparring over the Khalistan movement, which seeks to establish a Sikh homeland separate from India. India considers Khalistan supporters terrorists and accuses Canada of sheltering them. In June, a Sikh separatist leader was shot dead in Canada, and Trudeau accuses India's government of being involved in it. India's Ministry of External Affairs called the allegations absurd and motivated. India has expelled a senior Canadian diplomat after Canada removed a top Indian diplomat. New Delhi has also expressed concerns about what it calls growing interference by Canada in India's internal affairs. For NPR News, I'm Sushmita Pathak in Delhi.
Congress is working toward a critical deadline to pass a bill that would keep the federal government open past September 30th. NPR's Windsor Johnston tells us House Republicans have unveiled a stopgap funding measure, but Democrats in both chambers are blasting it.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is describing the House proposal as a hard right screed, accusing Republicans of refusing to work across the aisle to come up with an agreement. The Biden administration and congressional Democrats are demanding a number of provisions that are not included in the House bill, including additional aid for Ukraine. Without those elements, the stopgap bill is likely to fail in the Democratic-led Senate.
NPR's Windsor Johnston reporting. Policymakers for the U.S. Federal Reserve open a two-day meeting in Washington today. They're expected to discuss short-term interest rates. The Fed has raised rates sharply over the last year and a half. That's because it is still trying to get inflation down to its target rate of 2%. But in August, inflation was running at an annual rate of 3.6%. You're listening to NPR News.